because look at that smoke. It is affecting the air quality.
And it's even the stuff you can't see.
Right.
You think, oh, there's no smoke around my house, I can go outside. No, it's that fine particulate matter stuff that's really going to do damage to you, especially if you're vulnerable, if you have respiratory illnesses. If you get in your car, it's important to note, look at that button where it says recirc. Don't have that fresh air coming into your car. It's really something to remember if you get in your car and go out of the house. But be prepared. We talk about that evacuation, right? The 5 Ps. Remember, the 5 Ps. People, gather your people, your prescriptions, your paperwork, your personal needs, and some of your personal priceless items.
All right. Let's go to Phil Schuman in Sylmar, and there you are, and on a road closure, of course.
Right, this is all of you drive in front of the massive all of you UCLA Medical Center. This has been shut down all morning, as has the 210 just to the south of us here, as has the 5 freeway, as Rick and Gigi have been talking about. You can see there's a line of Forest Service trucks staging nearby, the red lights flashing. You can judge the wind speed, gusts 15 to 20 miles per hour, those flags blowing up above. The hospital was under threat of evacuation earlier this morning. As far as I can tell, that has not yet happened. We're talking hundreds of employees and patients as well. So this is just below the eastern ridgeline of the fire. If you've been with us this morning, you saw those dramatic tankers drop in the Phosgene from the top of that ridgeline where there's still a small amount of stubborn flames. You see the smoke down to the south towards the hospital, towards the back of the hospital grounds. There are several related office buildings and clinics here as well. The employees were told not to report to work today. Rather, everybody goes into the main building, the auditorium, and get ready in case they have to implement their evacuation plan. So as we've been here over the morning, Vanessa and Marla, the winds have continued to be mild. They're steady, but not any of those peak gusts, 40, 50 miles per hour we're talking about. In fact, there are periods where the wind dies down completely. The temperature's starting to heat up. So every minute now that the firefighters can gain the upper hand on getting that line around the flames, that's something that they are putting in the bank for later on when the winds start to pick up. So that's a very latest from here on the ground in Sylmar. We'll send it back to you.
We'd love to hear that the winds are dying down. No question about that. So the most vulnerable areas, impacted areas, of course, Sylmar, where Phil Schuman is, Granada Hills, where Mario Ramirez is, Porter Ranch. At last check-in, we're waiting for new numbers from LA County and LA City Fire at 1 o'clock this afternoon. But at last check, at least 25 homes destroyed. At least 5,800 acres burned, 0 containment. Of course, we hope that number is something next time we get that update at 1 o'clock.
Absolutely. And want to note that 250 police officers are on the ground right now. We heard that from the press conference at 7:30 this morning. And that's important to note because a lot of these people are being told to evacuate. So they're leaving their belongings, they're leaving their homes. And unfortunately, there's a lot of bad people out there. So luckily, there are police officers that are in those evacuated areas, and they're making sure the areas are closed off to everyone, the good and especially the bad guys. So that's something important to note. As you can see on your screen, a number of numbers. So 5,800 acres already burned from the Saddle Ridge fire. 0% containment, as Marla just said. 23,000 homes under mandatory evacuation. That's affecting 100,000 people. At least 25 homes were damaged. Obviously, from what we've seen throughout the morning, that number, unfortunately, will certainly go up. The one number we do not want to see go up is the amount of deaths as a result of this fire. Unfortunately, one person has died. A man in his 50s is what we're told by officials. He underwent cardiac arrest. He was trying to put out a fire in his home. And that's why we're trying to reiterate, if they tell you to evacuate, I know you want to save your home. It's your home. You want to save it. You want to stay there, but you need to get out. You need to stay safe. And it also keeps the firefighters firemen and women and police officers safe as well, because they're not running into these homes trying to save you. They're doing what they need to do, which is to put out these fires. And that's their first priority, of course, is your life, your safety, and then the property.
Evacuation centers that are open and not at capacity at last check: Northridge Recreation Center, that's on LaMarche Street, and then also Pierce College in Woodland Hills. That was the newest one to have opened in the last hour. The other issue that people are contending with out there from LADWP, people without power. There have been, of course, power outages.
It's been the headlines throughout the week because of Northern California and Central California.
Right. So in Porter Ranch and Granada Hills and Sylmar, at last check, about 2,500 people without power. So that number could be a lot higher. But at this point, 2,500 said to be without power. LADWP is keeping residents up to date on their Twitter if you want to follow along. SoCal Edison, obviously. As we approach the 11 a.m. hour, you're watching extended coverage of the Saddle Ridge fire on Fox 11. Let's go to Santa Clarita. Gigi Graciette.
Well, we've got two things going on right now. This is an example of what firefighters and law enforcement continue to see. Do you see that gray car right there? The driver and the passenger are both being handcuffed, and that is because they were ordered at a checkpoint to turn around. They were in front of us, and we watched as officials told them to turn around, and they purposely ran and just took off and disregarded the officials' orders. Well, everything gets radioed in, and now they're being taken into custody. And this is important because moments after they disobeyed the order to turn around, a fire ranger was trying to get through. They were blocking his way. Then they tried to get out of his way and almost crashed into other first responders. So they're being taken into custody, don't know what they're going to be charged with. And this is the reason first responders were trying to get up the street. This is Nick's Auto Sales here on the 22,000 block of Sierra Highway in Sylmar. And this fire just sprouted up. Now, this most likely was a wind-driven ember. The wind is really not kicking up right now, but they are enough to send those embers flying, and all you need is one ember to travel, hit some flammable material, and what you are watching right now is a car on that lot going up in flames. Again, this is Nick's Auto Sales on the 22,000 block of Sierra Highway here in Sylmar. This is very near the 14 freeway and the old road, and you've got LA County Fire. Obviously, they are staged in this area. You've got a heavy presence of firefighters, and I'm going to see a photographer, Tony Butita, if you can move up a little bit just to get a better view of firefighters trying to put out what appears to be an old kind of a truck or something. Oh, and there a tank just exploded. Obviously very dangerous work for our firefighters as they're trying to put that out. I don't know if that was the gas tank or if there's some other types of tanks on that property. That was what? Tires. That was a tire popping right there because of the fire. So this is all happening on Sierra Highway. We had sort of two stories in one. We watched a car just purposely disobey an official's order to turn around. This is a dangerous area. First responders were trying to get into the area to get to this fire, and the guy said, nah, I want to keep driving, kept on driving, ended up blocking a fire ranger trying to get to this fire to be able to get to make an assessment on it to get fire engines here. So they've been taken into custody, and then we've got this spot fire as a result of this fire that continues to burn in the area. All of this happening off the 14 freeway, Santa Clarita, Sylmar area, and we are live with the latest on this fire.